What is up, everybody? Wizards, warlocks, witches, etc. I don't know why I said it like it's a Halloween theme thing, but what is up? Welcome to the stream. Welcome to the MulDiverse. Welcome to MulDiversity. I am the Sword of Gryffindor's Gigolo himself, Quamon Star G, and we got a pretty special episode for y'all tonight. Little episode. Yeah, just gonna give y'all some goods. So yeah. Without further ado, let me go ahead and introduce everybody. The Raven Claw Judge herself.
Hello, everyone. I'm Rowena Ravenclaw's Lost Diadem, and we're gonna have a very special Harry Potter episode for y'all tonight. We're talking about the good and the bad, everything in between, and I'm ready to talk about it. Let's go.
Factuals. Now, next up, we got the Professor of Oddness himself of Hufflepuff, Mike.
Greetings. How are you? Are you ready to be schooled? Are you ready to learn?
The funniest
Are you ready
thing
for magic?
The funniest thing is that Mike is saying this without his camera, so all he sees is the all you see is oddness of Hufflepuff, but it's the Gryffindor crest. So let's move on to the fourth member of the squad, the fourth house, if you will.
Mike. Ooh, my name is Humpty, pronounced with an umpty, except it's Slim Swerve Slytherin the first. You know what's up. You know, not the best house, but the next house. You know, it's all right. It's not Gryffindor. It's cool. It's cool.
Well,
whatever.
Yeah, today's is going to be a nice little free-form episode about a specific thing. The Harry Potter Secrets of Dumbledore, fantastic beast. It's still Harry Potter, but the trailer dropped earlier this week, and furthermore, we just also really want to say, you know, how much we loathe into test. Oh, what's her face?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Like,
what's the face? The scammer.
So yeah,
she who must not be named.
Yes. But Avi, go ahead and just you can start off with the slander.
Okay. Well, I'm just gonna say that, you know, it's really disheartening that someone who created a renowned world could actually think like that, have those type of opinions. And I'm just like, it shouldn't be like that. It shouldn't. Like, how can you create a person who is supposed to be this hero, but you have such backwards way thinking about things? It's just.
Yeah. Fuck J.K. Rowling.
Pretty much for that, yeah. Oh yeah, all of it.
Period. To the ump's power.
Exactly. Aaron, you got some slander? You got some slander you want to give off?
We don't do turfs over here. We don't
Not
do
at
turfs
all.
over here. You know, I think people forget. It's crazy. I don't get it. I don't get the lady. But she's got that I don't give a damn money at this point, so it is what it is. Right? Like, I don't get her. I don't know why certain companies, Warner Brothers, are still in heavy talks with her. I don't get why nobody has really. I mean, they've tried to make this woman accountable, but you have certain people who have basically starting to champion her as like some outspoken hero, like Dave Chappelle or something, and I don't get it. But if they like it, I don't love it. Just don't.
Facts.
Mhm.
Mike,
That's that.
as you're here, I think Mike is having tech difficulties. I'm not sure, but
Okay.
yeah, this is going to be an episode, y'all. Shout outs to the comments. Shout outs. We out here. But yeah. So I'm gonna be honest. I really have been like falling off of Harry Potter for like the last however long J.K. Rowling has been showing her ass. It feels like an eternity. I wish she would just disappear from my entire life. But unfortunately, others will not give her the God. What's the word I can use? There's a bunch of them. Haven't given her the verbal and reputational beating to get her out of the purview.
Mhm.
And I really just am like, so I would always say this. I'm just so saddened that a person responsible for bringing characters that gave a lot of people a lot of joy turned out to be such a deplorable, sickening, awful human being. And yeah, I don't care if I'm using those words. She deserves them. Like she deserves them. And I just really need her to like not have anything else to do with Harry Potter. Leave it to what's her face number 2 to once again put her foot in her mouth, trying to make folks think that Warner Brothers have everything in check instead of giving a milk toast answer. So yeah, F J.K. Rowling and all that entails. She doesn't deserve anything in regards to HP or the Wizarding World, and it's a damn shame that she still is a part of it. And I do not fault anybody who just out and out doesn't support the Wizarding World anymore because of it, because she is just so ingrained. And I know you'll have people out there like, oh, she created this and she just voiced an opinion. Yeah, but there's also a thing about voting with your dollar. And since we live in a capitalist society where money matters, folks is voting with their wallets to get her up out of here, then that means y'all better tally them votes, them ballots, and do what you need to do.
Mhm.
Period. I think it's interesting that people don't. It's like, I think this is where that conversation is like, how do we separate the art from the artist? But I think it's because of social media, it's a little more difficult, especially with a mega franchise like this, because this woman is so ingrained in like literally everything.
I think what you should have to do is like actually separate it, like officially separate it, like not just figuratively, but like whoever owns if she still owns the rights, like somebody can get their money together and buy the rights from her. But I don't know if she still has them or if Warner Brothers has them or who. You look into that, but
See, if Warner Brothers has them, then this makes it worse. This actually makes the whole situation worse because, I mean, if the actors who played your characters don't want nothing to do with you,
right, that's the thing. Like, it's crazy because you're not even invited to the 20th reunion of something that you created because of the stupid stuff that you said.
there's
For
a
real.
joke in there. There's a joke in there. Not this episode. Mike
How long?
Dude, he's stuck in that two-way mirror though, but it's all right.
Yep.
What's up, Mike? Can you hear us? Can you hear us? Is you all good?
Oh, I keep forgetting I have 2 mute buttons and I keep unmuting one of them.
How you feeling, Mike? Because we didn't even get your full.
You already know how I feel. I separate the.
No, I mean in general, but also this too.
Oh yeah, I 100% agree with everybody's points because I feel like if you come out your mouth sideways for something that you shouldn't really be saying, like very disrespectful, yeah, you should get everything that's coming to you. You should not have nothing to do with this, especially if you have people that you disrespected or said something negative about, those supporters that you have hurt. Like, do you not understand the people that or the fan base that you have lost because those people that you spoke against? I guess it still says accountability over entertainment. And yeah.
Yeah, for
Because
sure.
I feel like the character, the overall character means something. The overall character of Harry Potter in the world actually does mean something to people. Like anyone who's ever, lost parents or, had friends who have been killed or like stuff like that. And I feel like how can you honestly have these opinions and, and still feel that way? That backwards ass thinking, like
Right. You're right. You're absolutely right. And I think, like, even to go as far as say, like, just the fact that it's, witches, warlocks, wizards, those are historically considered outcasts, And if you create characters that resonate with people who feel like outcasts, and then you yourself want to sit, in your $1 billion mansion with your, mega billions and say that fuck you, I don't care about, whatever you people do because it's, gross, whatever. Like that's very ironic. It's very ironic, especially considering the stories that you've written,
right.
I don't get that. I don't think I want to get it, but like, God, dog, Joanne.
Joanne.
Like, Joanne, what you doing? What are you doing over there?
Yeah, it sucks and it's bad and it's just the shits. Like the drizzling shits. It's I hate it. I really do. So that's why I say we're taking this back. We're taking back all of this stuff. Unrelated. Y'all got any Pepto Bismol y'all can send me? Because this her just thinking about her hurts my stomach. Y'all got any Pepto?
I don't have any. I don't.
I do, but like I need it for myself because I'm very sure that lady is gonna like call me and try to put a hex on me or something. I don't know.
I don't know. I definitely need some Tums, some Pepto, some to quell my stomach because it's just like
why don't
every
you
time
just use a scale? See, that's in theme.
A scale. I don't think
a scale.
I don't think measuring my weight is going.
I mean, at this point, anything. Why don't you call up? Hell, why don't we all look as fans? Why don't we all call up Warner Brothers and just ask how much are the rights? How much are the rights?
I feel like fans now have a firm grasp on all the stories that they can actually create and expand the world themselves. They've got a pretty good grasp on how the world is and how it works, that they could create a show or a movie series about Marauders and it'd be perfect to the T. Like I feel there are people who can take that on without her help.
People underestimate the fans.
Yep.
She
Just
won't
couldn't keep her
though.
mouth shut. She just could not
Like,
keep her mouth shut.
why she get on? No, why would she get on Twitter and just say like random like? What's the reason?
Because
What
she's
does she
a
get from that?
because she's an asshat. But
Yeah.
She
But
out
let's
here
try to-
locking folks out.
yeah, let's try to pivot it a little bit because it is a very depressing endeavor to think about, and it
So let's
really
talk about the
just
most depressing Harry Potter story.
Ooh. It would have. No, there's so many. Like, I can make a list. I can honestly make a list. Definitely the night
Well,
Lily and James died, for sure. Like,
Yeah.
because that started Harry's whole ordeal.
Right.
Let's see. Pretty much any time Harry had to watch somebody die, like watching Cedric die, watching Sirius die, and also Dumbledore. Watching Dumbledore die, and when he has the resurrection stuff. But the one that is so heartbreaking, though, it's kind of a sad, happy moment was when he's in the forest, he's in the Forbidden Forest, and he's about to go see Voldemort at the end of part 2, when he finds out that he's a Horcrux and he has a Resurrection Stone, and he says, "I'm prepared to die," and he sees Lupin, Sirius, his mom, and his dad again in ghost form, and like he runs up to his mom and he tries to touch him, but he can't touch her, and it's just sad. Like it's one of those sad moments, but happy moments, because when they're talking, it's it's like, what, you can do this, Harry. Like you'll be all right. You'll be okay. We're here for you. All, like Lily said, always. So like we're not going anywhere. We never left. Like we're not going anywhere. And so that heartbreaking moments.
Ooh, okay. Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree with you on that one. That was deep. That's still like probably my top 5 scenes.
Mm-hmm.
Especially if we just go with the movies, like top 5 scenes right there. That's like number 3.
It was like a coming to circle for him to like elevate to what he had to do after the fact.
Mm-hmm.
That
and
man
them
just,
telling him that they've been there with him the whole time. So that was deep.
Like, get chills every time I see it, because like he comes to terms with his fate that he's going to have to die in order to defeat Voldemort. He finally comes to terms with it. Like, okay, and it's one of those. Yep.
I wonder what that metaphor is. The audience figures out. It's a metaphor also for coming to terms with a lot of things: mental health, sexuality, that people will, not like you for whatever, and you have to confront your fears, because Voldemort just represents a fear and anguish. I'm not gonna start preaching, but there it is.
But you're right.
there it is.
Like dead on it, like
like, come to terms. It's like the people you met along the way are gonna support you regardless. You gotta face your past.
It's a small moment, but it's a very significant moment. It was when they're in Malfoy Manor, at the end of part 1, when they're in Malfoy Manor, and Bellatrix is torturing / interrogating Hermione, trying to figure out how they got the sword.
Yeah.
And she pretty much bites Mugblood in her arm, resembling, Jewish tattoos during, in the concentration camps. And it's like, dang. He's like, life imitates art. It's like, and it was just sad. It's like, yeah, that happened. Maybe not in that particular way, but that did happen. Yes.
I mean, oof, yeah. We'll see. That goes deeper. Oh my gosh, no, because see now you can, they were the Nazis.
Because that's pretty much who the Death Eaters were. Just like Nazi / KKK. That's pretty much who they were. Who they were.
Thank you. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What a letdown. Yeah. It sucks. It's just like you look at all of the whole idea of, the franchises that even though it's cliche to some, like good triumphs over evil. That's the whole message. Love conquers all, man.
But it's done in a very unique way.
Mm-hmm.
Like
almost Jack Kirby-esque.
I'm
sorry. I'm sorry. It's there. It's there. Look, it's there. I'm just saying, it's there.
Well, I for one think she should go step on some Legos.
Oh my god!
Because they hurt.
Harry
They
Potter
hurt
Lego.
so bad.
It got to be Harry Potter Legos.
Yes, to make it full circle. Yes, a Hogwarts castle, Lego Hogwarts castle with the pointy tips
scattered everywhere.
Like, for real. Like or somebody should go upside her head with a Hot Wheels racetrack.
As long as it's a Harry Potter theme one.
Right.
Gotta get that promotion. I mean, I appreciate the franchise,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not crazy about it, but I appreciate for what it did at the time. Especially how ambitious it was to, use the same cast for almost a decade, right?
About a decade.
Yes.
A full decade, yeah.
Very
How
ambitious.
could you not? No shade. Like,
right.
That's true.
Like that first movie, like when I go back and watch the first movie, I just be like, "What the world?" Like they were babies, like, and then to see them fully grow throughout that franchise and develop these their character development and everything.
Let's talk about this girl. Let's talk about Miss Hermione.
Hermione? Talk about Hermione? Let's go. Let's talk about Miss Hermione Granger. Let's talk about Miss. Let's talk about Miss Hermione
Granger. Wig.
Snatched.
Are we talking about the actual video? Or are we actually talking about Hermione Granger?
Let's talk about Miss Hermione.
I just played it for the
girl.
I played it just to get the party bumping a little bit.
Let's talk about that.
She saved Harry and Ron's asses so many times from death. And they are not lying when she says she's the greatest witch of her age, because the girl, she was resourceful. Not only was she smart, she was resourceful, and she had bravery too, which is why they put her in Gryffindor, because she just relied on her intellect. She would have been put in Ravenclaw.
Also, there's proof that Gryffindor is the best. You show right. That's all.
I didn't say that. I did not say that.
No, it's there.
No,
it's there. It's there. No.
Don't try to twist my words around. But yeah, like in the first movie when she she tried to help Ron, like, it's Leviosa, not Leviosa. You know, he made fun of her for it. But when they were, you know, fighting the troll, he did it properly, and they were able to save Harry and take down the troll. And then, you know, when they dropped down from Fluffy's door and they, you know, entangled themselves in Devil's Snare, she recognized immediately that she was able to help them out of that, because, you know, they were all just like, you know, twisting, twirling, making it even worse.
Facts.
And she's also helped them out in the Chamber of Secrets when she had that little ball saying that that the basilisk was going through the pipes.
Right. Facts.
And, you know, they trusted her. I saw this on Tumblr. Like, they really did trust her. Brave.
Like, Hermione was indeed carrying the entire series.
And, like, you know, you're a big deal when Professor McGonagall takes you aside, like the beginning of your third terms, like, look, girl, I'm gonna give you a time turner so that you can stacking up your classes so that you can go to this class and then go back in time, go to this class, and
Period.
Which, by the way, we need to have a discussion about that being a significant thing, and yet none of them folks thought to use it in their second Wizarding War. You know, that would have saved a lot of trouble.
Yeah,
I mean, everything can't be easy.
I mean, but I gotta say, when you introduce concepts like that, you need to have some sort of fail safe as to why it can't be reused. You know,
not LeBron. Nah.
I mean,
she's Steph Curry. She's Steph Curry coming through with the most. She's Steph Curry.
Shit, I'm gonna call her Mike. Fuck it, I'll call her Mike.
Mike, MJ, let's go.
Yeah,
like
everybody.
She comes through in the clutch every time. She comes through in the clutch every time.
Harry is Scotty, and Ron is Bill Cartwright.
See, they did my boy Ron a little bit wrong in the, not a little bit. I mean, they did him wrong in the movies because in the books, he's actually is a little bit more charming, a little bit more charismatic, a little bit more, and he's a little bit more clever. They kind of showed it.
It's not realistic.
Because they kind of showed him as like this whiny guy who, doesn't get the affection that he deserves and all this stuff. But but that's not who Ron is. Like, that's not who he is. Like, he's Harry's best friend. He's with them through thick and thin. Like, Ron's with the shit. Like, Ron's with, like, I mean, he is in the movies too, but it's like in the books you feel it. Like, Ron is with the shit. Like, he's like, Harry's like, okay, we gotta do this. All right, so let's go. Where are we going? What are we doing?
I mean, that was his ride or die. At the end of the day, that was his best friend. So, he gonna do what his best friend say. He gonna be scared, but he gonna do it.
Mm-hmm.
It'd be like that though.
I wanna talk about the real MVP. The person that if there was a press conference to continue the basketball analogies, Harry would be at the press conference clapping and crying, going, "You the real MVP," and that's Big Money Neville, the Nev doll.
He is an MVP.
Neville has been subtle clutch until he was overtly clutch all 7 books. Like, he literally was just. I always said they should have just made him the 4th main character in the story. To dive. Okay. Like, it made the most sense. Like, once book 5 and up hit, they really was just stepping into Neville's greatness and everything. And I remember reading book 7 when he was like the guy holding it down for everything while Harry, Ron, and Hermione were on the lam. And how he was the one to take out the sword of Godric Gryffindor to cut off Nagini's head, putting the clamp down.
Because one thing interesting about that is that the prophecy state there were 2 boys born on July 31st. It was Harry and it was Neville. And then with the opposite way, let's say if Voldemort went to Neville's house instead of Harry's house, Neville would have been in Harry's shoes.
Right. And shout outs to Neville throughout the years, progressively getting more and more swag as he got older and whatnot. He's getting some swag about him. You know what I'm talking about?
Unlike that Harry.
What I tell you, when I was in the theater, for the last movie, when Neville made his speech, and after he made his speech, he pulled out the sword of Gryffindor because only a true Gryffindor could pull the sword out of the hat. It was like, yes, yes. Everyone was cheering. Everyone was like, yes. And then when he cut off the snake, cut off Nagini's head with the sword of Gryffindor, everybody went nuts. Everybody went bananas because we all were rooting for Neville. Like, he might have been the awkward, lanky guy in like the first 6 movies, but he pretty much was like Harry's second in command. Like, he really was Harry's second in command during the battle.
He should have been the chosen one. I don't care.
You were the chosen one.
I don't care for Harry. I really don't. He's great, but he's like milk toast Luke Skywalker. There, I said it.
Milk toast, not milk toast.
Milk toast,
not milk toast.
Milk toast Luke Skywalker.
Neville walked in like Neville walked in like this.
Oh my god!
Facts.
He was lucky.
Like,
Harry was
hold on,
lucky.
I just realized that the sound was off. Let me run it back a third time.
Ciao.
Period. Like,
what up, Marge?
Woo!
Like, I don't care.
That's how he was swagging.
Neville, Ron, and Hermione. That's the trio.
It's okay. He was better. He was definitely better, and they definitely portrayed him better. He was definitely written better in the books than the
period.
movie.
Yeah, I gotta say, I've never been a fan of that whole Neville, Harry, Hermione. I say like it had to have been the 4 of them because, to an extent, Ron's jealousy was understandable to a degree because he's overlooked in his big ass family, which is we're gonna have a conversation another day about his big ass family.
Right?
And then his 2 best friends in the world are literally like, he's the most important piece to this wizarding war, and his other best friend / crush is like the smartest person and most capable person he knows. So I feel a little bit on the odd out, but then he found his place on the Quidditch squad, being the seeker. Yeah, he was a seeker on the Quidditch squad.
Harry was a seeker. Ron was a keeper.
Keeper, that's what it is. They got the ERs at the end of it all. But he found his place and whatnot, and the loyalty. And I do agree with Avia. The books did a better job. Though I will say one of the few things he had every right to be upset about was Harry dating his sister on the low without telling him.
Let's talk about that. I'm sorry, but there was no kind of chemistry, romantic chemistry.
Yeah, where did that come from? Who came up?
Because in the books, at least, it was cute. At least in the books, like, they worked their way up to that. But you just out of nowhere, like, he just started like, oh, I like you now. Like, what?
Right.
And if you present it like that in the movies, it comes off like really awkward. It's like, the fuck.
And I'm gonna go on a mini rant here. My least favorite Harry Potter movie is to have blood prints.
What?
Whoa.
That is like a lot of folks' favorite.
Because here's why. They tried to make it too teen rom-com-ish. They tried to make it way too teen once they actually got to Hogwarts. I'm like, it is cute and all, there are romances in high school. Like, I'm not gonna knock it, but it's like what they should have done is figure out a way, at least in the 5th one, try and evolve Harry and Ginny's romantic chemistry, try and really honestly build that up. And they also should have focused, like, it was towards the end when Harry found out, about what Horcruxes are. That should have been the main focus of the whole movie, trying to get Slughorn's memories about, what him and Tom were talking about, and figuring out what what Horcruxes are. Because there's a scene that would have been perfect. It was in the book. There's a chapter, or at least a few pages, of Tom Riddle working in Nocturne Alley in the shop Borgin and Burke's, and he finds the chalice of the cup of Helga Hufflepuff. And as you know, that's one of the Horcruxes, and that's in the book. And like that would have been a great scene to put in there to, you know, show like it could be a Horcrux could be anything. Like it could really be like,
you.
Yep. Because Harry is a Horcrux, so it really could be anything. So it's like, yeah, I just don't like. It's my least favorite because they focus way too much on the teen romance of it all. And I mean, some of those elements should be in there, but just they focus a little bit too much on that as opposed to, you know, Harry figuring out what Horcruxes are and how he made them.
Right. Yeah. I guess I'll give my Harry hot take and we can go around. So my Harry hot take is that as the books got thicker, the movies should have gotten longer. And that
Thank you.
And like for reference point, like even though I say Goblet of Fire was the easiest to condense because ultimately all you have to get right is the tournament, the Triwizard Tournament stuff, and then Voldemort's return. Anything else you can just play loose and fast with it. There's nothing really else substantial about it. You just gotta, those two factors have to be done well, which they were. But from 5 to 7, 3 hour, 2 parts, which are both 3 hours, because there are, as I would say that the 3 Harry Potter books I read first and foremost, like those, which were like was Order of the Phoenix, Half-Blood, and Deathly Hallows, and all 3 of those books have a lot of stuff that was cut that actually would accentuate what was in the movie, like, you know, fully exploring the Department of Secrets and Mysteries, that whole sequence. There's a lot of stuff that was there that was cut.
Again,
the training stuff, but the training of the Dumbledore's army, that was something that they could have really, Choi Chang and Harry's relationship that got
definitely cut, definitely, and also showing Ginny being a very good witch, being a very good witch, because they kind of did it, you know, what she did, Reducto, and like the whole thing exploded. You know, the whole Department of Mysteries, pretty much glass was coming down. But if they did that more, you could be like, oh yeah, she's pretty much just like Lily, like she's a mixture of Lily and Hermione, like she's a mixture of both of them. And that's why Harry kind of like really is attracted to her.
Right. And another thing is the war with between the Order of the Phoenix and the Death Eaters, but in books 6 specifically, because like the whole Tonks Lupin major subplot was non-existent compared to the books. Like there is that whole subplot of them being like in the field, Lupin having to deal with, turning into the werewolf, his whole rivalry with the other werewolf guy whose name escapes me right now.
Greyback.
Exactly. And how that, the dark reflection and all of those things. And, Ron's eldest brother, for example, he started to become a major part, from book 5 onwards. Percy as well. And the him falling out and everything that was only subtly alluded to throughout the entire series, and they don't even get me started on 7. That I get it. They didn't like, I get 7 stuff because, a lot of like the first half of Deathly Hallows is just Harry and Hermione. Ron isn't there. So I know I could guess, I could assume why that was just like, because we don't want people to watch 3 hours of not the trio. We want to get them back together as soon as possible. But I still would have liked to seen it. And this is another point of contention. Like before I went back and read the books, I never really put 2 and 2 together like that. But when I started going and reading the books after watching the movies, I'm like, wait a minute. This is a little bit too Freudian, because if Ron and Harry are essentially brothers and the Weasleys are essentially, his extended family, that is like, that's a little weird.
Yeah, I think that was the only thing that I was just like, Nah. Well, I wish you could have. I wish that honestly, I wish they would have just let him be with somebody else and not her.
Cho
I hate
Chang.
to say that, but yeah.
I mean, but it's true though. But I will say one thing that I was kind of like, who somebody who had a bigger part in the books and the movies that they shrunk down to like each movie. Like, you saw Seamus, you got Neville a good bit, but they did my boy Dean Thomas so wrong.
Man.
Like he only had like 2 lines in yes, Team Harry, yes, and period.
Harry and Luna.
Period.
That's the shit, right?
And he would only get like 2 lines in every movie. He was always in the background somewhere, but he would only get 2 lines. I'm like, Dean plays such a big part in
that
the
man
books.
didn't exist.
Like he was actually in the 7th book, in the movie, when Hermione's, cutting Harry's hair and she has that, light bulb moment. Oh, the Sword of Gryffindor is goblin made, so it only takes in what makes it stronger. Right? The thought just came to her, as opposed to the book where Dean is in the forest with goblins and they hear Hermione overhears the goblins' conversations with Dean about how the Sword of Gryffindor is goblin made, and so she overhears that, and that's how she finds out that a sword could be used to kill Horcruxes. And I'm like, that would have been a great scene to put in the movie and actually show Dean. And Dean was also supposed to be in the cellar scene with Luna because he was supposed to get captured around that time, and they find him in the cellar. And, they send Luna and Dean back, to Hogwarts, later on. But it's just, they did my boy Dean Thomas so wrong. So wrong.
I'm trying to think. Hot takes. I just wanted them to be longer. Like Q said, when you got your thick books, you wanted to get everything that you could get from it. Like, and mind you, I watched them all, read them all, but I didn't watch the last 2 movies until like maybe 4 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
There it is.
Because I watched the first part, but I didn't want to watch the last part because I didn't want the whole thing to end. And I think when the first Fantastic Beasts came out, that's when I binge watched them all and then end up watching it. And I got a newfound love for Deathly Hallows.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
I'll say another thing that pissed me off. Then this was after watching, because I used to watch that Order of the Phoenix. I had that on the DVD, and I was tough on that movie in my teenage years. But one thing that did drive me up a wall once I read the book was how they neutered Harry's reaction to Sirius dying. Like in the book, he is flat out enraged at Dumbledore because he felt betrayed. He blamed Dumbledore because for one of the major plot points of Order is that Dumbledore is ghosting Harry and being distant because he fears Voldemort would use him as a tool against him, subtly taking away Harry's humanity, which is like one of the many gut punches in the story, because Harry relied on Dumbledore so much in the early years as a true North for his wizarding training and understanding, and then for his mentor to just shut him off, and then it inevitably leads to his surrogate father's death before they can even really have a relationship. Like he was like throwing stuff, smashing things. You had the portraits of all the previous headmasters just in shock. And then when Harry finally turns, because the entire time he's just wrecking everything and yelling and just, like fully letting the anger of all of these events just wash over him. And then when he finally turns and looks at Dumbledore, all Dumbledore can offer is a apology with a tear coming down his face, with a singular tear and just a face of sorrow and regret. And I hate it. Once I read that, I'm like, so dog, I would have loved to see it in the movie and not some quiet exchange between Harry and Dumbledore after Sirius's death.
Because he was really like the closest thing to a father he had once he found out that Sirius, was his god. Once, he found out Sirius wasn't a bad person, he was the closest thing to a father he had. and he, and Bellatrix just, flat out just murdered him. And I,
Mhm.
Like, yeah, that's like
ooh,
it's
ooh. Can we get on Albus Dumbledore for a second? Can we get on Albus
He a
Dumbledore?
messy man who lives for drama.
that's an
'Cause
understatement.
you ain't lying, because he always
Like,
puts
right.
people
That's a
in
big
danger.
understatement.
He always puts people in danger without any kind of explanation. Like, you find out at the end why he did what he did, and you're like, I know if I was Harry, I would be like, so you made me go through all that. You made me go
He's the
through all
Professor
that.
X of the Wizarding World.
He is. He really is.
I think that's like the most trippy, like the trippiest part is that the whole genesis of his character is because once upon a time when him and his brother and his sister, and that led to her death. And ever since then, he just, had to, he's been so convinced in trying to prevent tragedies before they become. And then ironically enough, every time he tries to do that, it literally is just debacle after debacle after debacle. First with Grindelwald, which we'll see.
Yep.
Then the first Voldemort war, and then the second Voldemort war. It's
Because I had a feeling he knew what Tom Riddle was about.
like, and let's look.
Oh yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
He knew what that little boy was about. Like, he knew.
What's up, Raya?
Like, what's up, Raya? Hope your polling is going okay in the stream, the favorite streamers. Hope your polling is going a-okay. Yeah, that is true. That is true.
That's funny.
But yeah, like all of those things is just like, oh, well, I got this under control, and then he doesn't. And
just like Professor X.
And like when Aberforth called Harry out, and it's funny because when Aberforth called Harry out about having such blind faith in him, and it's like, how can you believe anything my brother told you? Like, he didn't even tell you where to start finding these Horcruxes.
Like he really didn't. He really didn't. And like Rita's
Skeeter, she is so messy. Rita's Skeeter is so messy.
Like the funniest thing for me, not even funny, but the sad, I guess. I don't know why I said funny. Maybe it's a morbid humor, but all Albus had to do was just all he really had to do, and this is gonna sound so fucked up, is have the resurrection stone, kill Harry, and then just bring him back. As soon as everything happened,
come back. Yeah, he could have.
And therefore Voldemort is already like, let's run the score. Let's run the score.
Damn.
The diary, Harry, that's 2, and the ring. Like those are 3 right there, right? And then you're gonna, like, Dumbledore could have killed Voldemort at any point, like once he got those 3 out of the way. And considering nobody else was aware of what the Horcruxes were or where they were, that's what he could have been. Well, we can assume he sent Lupin and Tonks out in the field looking for the Horcruxes. Hopefully that's what the fuck he was doing. But why not use Snape for that instead of having this person this fully grown ass man who fully holds a grudge against his dejected lover's child, instead of having him constantly in his presence being an abusive teacher asshole? Why not give him something useful to do?
Because Snape will follow Dumbledore's orders. Whatever Dumbledore says, Snape will follow. Like he might question it, maybe.
Like
he'll
for
do
what?
It.
Like it's hilarious that because Harry didn't learn shit from Snape at all. Like at all. Even in death, he learned nothing from Snape. Like the only thing he learned was that
You like my mom. You like my mom.
Like that's about it. You just gonna keep throwing these X-Men
Come
solutions
on,
out
girl,
there.
give us nothing.
You're just gonna keep throwing these X-Men
Come on, girl,
illusions out
give
there.
us nothing. Oh my god.
So I mean, since we keep making these X-Men references, let's just cast the whole cast as X-Men.
Do we? Because they don't. Because the only one that's really X-Men material is
They're all the
Hermione.
Scarlet
Everybody
So
else,
definitely Jean Grey.
no, because she's not reliant on something else. She's self-serving.
Oh, girl.
Harry is Jean Grey.
Like if I'm being being realer than real deal Holyfield, all of them folks suck at some quality that when you're fighting a war you probably shouldn't suck at. The Weasleys are too empathetic, they're too caring. They don't got
Weasleys are the Brotherhood
because they got a big ass family. But
well, I wouldn't say that because Molly did kill Bellatrix. She did kill Bellatrix.
That is true. I ain't got nothing else. I ain't got no shade for that. She did do that. But
not my talk to you, bitch.
Okay, speaking of going back to book 7, can I tell y'all something funny? So when I read book 7 for the first time and I read the ending when Harry made his dramatic return, so in my brain, like in my brain as I'm reading it, contextualizing it, using the actors as the pieces and the creating the imagery in my brain, when when Molly is almost killed and Harry blocks it, like when he returns from the dead, I it's a home, like the book is like kind of like, oh, he just takes the cloak off, but in my mind I'm thinking like he does some like Power Ranger Sentai dramatic throwing the cloak off. Is coming from like the diagonal angle and shit, like, and it's like three different shots, and it's like, and then he just dramatically looks up and everything, and then he starts shit talking Riddle, which is my favorite part of the series, when he just starts roasting Riddle's roasting Voldemort's ass like some. See, you're out here talking about wizard supremacy, but you're a half-blood yourself. Right. You're not even who you say you are. And all Voldemort could do is like, shut up. I was like, it got him shook and shaking and baking in his boots and everything. He's like, see, you thought you killed the owner of the Elder Wand. But in truth,
but you didn't.
It was me, because the person who killed Albus Dumbledore was Draco Malfoy. And I disowned him. So guess who's the real owner of the Elder Wand?
Actually, it's just disarming. It doesn't have to do with killing. It's just disarming. Because remember, Draco didn't kill Dumbledore. Snape did.
That is true. You're right.
It's just about disarming. Yeah, it's just about.
Oh my god.
But yeah, needless to say, I was very disappointed in the theaters where my headcanon of Harry dramatically throwing off the invisibility cloak with 3 separate shots showcasing it, and then him dramatic in slow motion. Like, I can even give y'all, like, in my mind, the battle was like at dawn, and like, because the cover of Deathly Hallows is like reddish dawn, which is predicting like the cover is like, oh, this is where he's at in the battle. So in my brain, it's like, oh, it's like reddish dawn. So when he does it, he throws the cloak off. It's like the sky is like the red of the cover and shit, and it's like at the angle, and he's like stepping, like do a little step forward and shit, and just looks up and like, I'm back, bitch. It's Brittany, bitch. Giving off that energy, and that's like, I was very disappointed when it wasn't like that at all in the movie. And then and I'll tell you about another thing about the final fight in the movie. I remember very audibly going, so they're fist fighting now? When like Voldemort just started throwing hands and shit.
Yeah.
Like,
that was wild. That was like, wild.
One thing that was funny was when when he comes around, it's like, Harry Potter is dead, right? And Draco comes up, he just awkwardly just hugs Draco. That was
hilarious. Like, what? This is weird.
Everybody was cracking up. Like we were laughing. And then when he
That
did
was
that
funny.
awkward like when he did that laugh.
Like I could like there's like 3 separate things in the book where my brain just went in like a different direction than what they did in the movies. Like I swore you couldn't convince me that when he revealed himself, everybody was just like the action stopped and fucking everybody was just looking at Harry like and he's just standing there surveying the scene and everything, like that type of drama. Like everybody was shook. Harry's back.
Like Tetsuo?
Tetsuo!
Yeah. Like that was giving me some Tetsuo energy. The way you described
I guess in my brain,
Damn,
when I
man,
was
he
reading
doesn't
Deathly
do anything.
Hollows, it was like I was thinking like an action movie.
Yeah.
Like I was like, oh, this is like the final act.
I mean,
You know?
but it's kind of supposed to be. Kind of let us down on that. I wasn't crazy about when Harry met Sally. I wasn't crazy about that. I'll be here all week.
I mean, like it's. I was satisfied with the ending. I was
That's what
satisfied
we've
with
been
it.
waiting for.
I just wish Teddy was in there. I wish Teddy
Yeah.
was in there somewhere. Like
Yeah,
in the
Teddy could've been
cottage,
there.
like they could be like Bill and Flora could be, like babysitting Teddy or something. And Harry finally meets him. And because in the books,
Mhm.
Harry doesn't actually like see Teddy, he just hears about him until,
Right.
Let's talk about
Yeah.
the deaths in the Deathly Hollow, because when we speak about Teddy, I'm gonna talk about the deaths and how I'm gonna be very real. None of the deaths in that Deathly Hollows, I've had 10 years to make peace with this. None of the deaths in Deathly Hollows was earned. Well, actually more than 10 years, because Deathly Hollows, the book came out in 09. Yeah, 09, 08.
The book or the movie?
The book.
I think 8 or something like that.
Yeah, so none of them deaths at the end specifically in the Battle of Hogwarts felt earned. It was just like what's her face was like, oh shit. Okay, so whose name we're gonna throw? Okay, one of the twins, the couple that people like, and that's about it. And the camera dude, Colin. What was the camera
Colin
dude?
Creevy?
Yeah,
Colin Creevy. Yeah. And they really didn't do anything with him in the franchise at all. Like he was in Chamber of Secrets, and that's it.
that was like more of
it.
a Easter egg. Like, oh, hey, you remember that character from book 2? He's dead.
And apparently, Oliver Wood was in part 2 too. Like he was like one of the dudes on the broom, flying.
Not Anastasia.
Y'all are hilarious.
Anastasia. Can someone please like animate that and like make it
Okay, you're right. I did
Yep.
misspeak. Dobby's death was that was earned. That was earned.
that one was earned.
In the books, the movies, they did not do justice by Dobby, because Dobby showed up more than just they showed in the movies.
Chamber of Secrets, yeah, because he was in the Goblet of Fire.
Right.
What
he was in
other? What's the female?
He was in Half-Blood. He was in Half-Blood, and
the female house elf in the 4th one that worked in the kitchens that they got to work.
Because that was the whole point of Hermione coming up with the elves.
They didn't even do that. They didn't even put that in there.
And that was like a big thing for like books 4, 5, and even 6.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's
like Spew. Yeah, Spew. Like they didn't even do anything with that. Winky, that was her name. I could not remember.
Yeah, so Dobby's death was the only one like I felt emotional investment in. The other ones were just like some.
Well, I would say Fred's death had me emotional though, because you got to know him. You got to know him over the course of the movies. Lovable troublemaker. Him and his brother. They're the comic relief. You wouldn't think that one of the twins would be ones to go.
True.
And it's just like when they all come back from the boathouse and they go in the Great Hall and they see Fred lying there dead, and they just you see George over him just like crying, and Ron goes over there crying like, And I think one of the actors said it was hard to do that scene, like seeing his brother like play dead like that. Like it was.
Yeah, I guess my feeling is that you already mutilated them to the point where you can tell the difference between the two. So I feel like either this is just a me thing, but I feel like either you do that and then that's what they got to carry, or you just killed one of them when they were pretending to be Harry. But then again, maybe that would have been giving away an emotional punch too early in the story. But that didn't stop them from killing Hedwig that early in the fucking story.
Right.
Which I'm pissed off about, like, because it's like you kill one of Harry's like most endearing ropes to the wizarding world, like that quickly. This is the first time I've heard like people really putting out about the epilogue, and I agree. I agree about the. I know Avia has, she likes what there's, something after the books that she wants to see, but I definitely, I definitely feel like maybe the epilogue was a little bit too much. But
you can't think about Harry Potter and not think about Hedwig. Like Hedwig is a staple in the franchise, and she gone. And
it's like that would be like killing off R2-D2 in the beginning of Rise of Skywalker or something.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm sure they thought about it.
Crookshanks could go. He could go.
Damn, I think he did go between books 4 and 5. Well, no, did we?
I think they kind of just wrote him off. Like I don't think I can't remember, but yeah, Crookshanks could go. Crookshanks could go.
Facts.
What do y'all think Dumbledore did about slavery?
The same thing Grindelwald wanted to do about World War II and the Holocaust. I think. Let me talk about that, because even though I have seen.
Are we going into Fantastic Beasts now? Fantastic
like even though I've seen zero, I tried, but I didn't get a chance to watch any of the Fantastic Beasts. But one of the things that kind of like threw me for a loop, for those who don't know, which I'm assuming that's none of you guys, but I'm just gonna say it anyway because I started the sentence. So Fantastic Beasts was a small book when it came out, but then Warner Brothers said, let's make a franchise out of this minimal amount of content and just do our best.
Like the Hobbit.
Exactly.
Yep.
And
wait.
So, what? What's up?
Go ahead. That's
No,
another episode. No, that's another episode.
You were talking. You talking about Lord of the Rings? You should get okay. I got you. But so basically, they're using Fantastic Beasts as a vehicle to do Dumbledore's origin and whatnot. And so, long story short, Grindelwald, the first, like the precursor to Voldemort, essentially, he's like his whole impetus for war against the Muggles is because of what they'll destroy the world. And then like he's like, oh, this is what will happen in the future. And he shows World War II and stuff like that. And then basically the implication is that, oh, if this obvious Hitler allegory in the wizarding world gets his way, then the real life Hitler wouldn't do World War II. And it's just so fucking weird and just malign. Just you can tell, oh, what's her face signed off thinking that this was like some grand statement of that is true. That is canonically true. Like that is canonically true. Like that is true.
Ooh, man.
Like,
oh my gosh.
If you think about it, he really didn't try his best to break that to break his his promise or whatever to really stop him. He didn't.
So he wouldn't have tried to stop slavery. That's what I'm getting from that.
Yeah, that's what you get. Yeah, that's what you
get. But yeah, Avia, since you've seen all of the Fantastic Beasts movies, I'm gonna toss it over to you and just give your thoughts and what you want to see from the third chapter.
Okay, so the first one was, I think, as far as the character Newt Scamander, what he was all about. I think it was a pretty good introduction. He's this awkward guy who loves animals or like magical creatures, and he goes to New York, and while he's there, he has a run-in with, well, in America, they call them nomads, Jacob, who is trying to get a bakery, and so he switches his briefcase, and because he's interacting with non-magical people, that's against a certain statute from for the American magical, Ministry of Magic. And so he gets arrested by Tina, who is an Aura, and pretty much she has to help him find all of his magical creatures that have accidentally got set loose while him and Jacob were talking in the bank. And meanwhile, a subplot is that Grindelwald is there's is gathering followers, and there's the second Salemers are these people who are against witchcraft, and there's this boy Credence, played by
The Flash.
yeah, Ezra Miller, and they're against magic, and come to find out, and Credence has a connection with another Aura named Graves, played by Colin Farrell, and pretty much Colin Farrell makes a deal with Credence, like, look, if you give me information about anything magical, I'll induct you into our magical society. Credence like, okay, cool, because his mom is abusive, he wants to get out. So lo and behold, we find out that Grindelwald has been masquerading as Graves this whole time. So he gets arrested, and pretty much Newt goes back home to the Ministry. To back to London. And the second movie starts with Grindelwald breaking out of prison. Credence, pretty much running away to the circus, trying to, find out who he is. And he's partnered with Nagini. And I got some. If they don't do something with this character, I'm gonna be highly upset. But him and her and Credence, pretty much, they're on the run together, trying to figure out who Credence is. And meanwhile, Newt and his brother are trying to pretty much figure out what Grindelwald is up to. That's pretty much the premise of the second one. And there was a reveal in the last few minutes that I'm kind of like, what? That just came out of nowhere. It was the revelation that Credence is actually Aurelius Dumbledore, and you're like, huh? What? There is no mention of an Aurelius Dumbledore in any type of that I'm aware of, any type of like official Harry Potter, or like where did this come from? And I'm kind of curious what they're going to do, because in the trailer, you see for the new movie, you see him and Dumbledore fighting each other. So you're like, oh, so I guess Dumbledore's going to actually find out that Credence is Aurelius is his brother, and Aberforth too. And also Nagini. I hope, since there's supposed to be five? There's supposed to be 5 of them.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully they make the connection between her and Tom Riddle, as opposed to him being like her, like maybe one day like she appears in Borgin and Burke's, and like she reveals that she's a snake or something, because she he speaks Parcel's tongue to her or something, and he's like, I prefer you in your snake form. They
Get it on.
Like make me know.
That man's gonna be like something. Hey, let me show you something real quick, and then pull out the bucket like something. I am Tom Riddle. I am Voldemort.
It's just like it's interesting. Like it's interesting because even though it's still connected to the Harry Potter realm, it branches out. And it's interesting because we learn more
I'm calling it now. They're gonna say it's gonna be Fantastic Beasts 4: A Cursed Child, and the cursed child will be Ezra Miller's Dumbledore. He'll be the cursed child.
I'm done. Nope.
Damn, y'all could have just booed. Y'all didn't have to be silent.
That's fine.
I'm out.
No.
Nope.
The trailer looks good for the new movie. I'll say that. I'm very intrigued and very interested.
Yeah.
I just like the fact that we are still getting more from the universe. And then finding out there might be 3 more movies. So yeah, I'm excited to see what else they can do as far as like prequels to whatever all we know. So yeah.
Facts. I feel the same way.
Y'all cutting up in these comments. Oh my god.
But any closing thoughts specifically from Avia?
No, I'm just interested to see where this third movie goes.
I think we can all agree that tonight Avia has been Hermione carrying us this entire episode with her Harry Potter lore and knowledge.
So I mean,
she is the fanatic out of all 3 of us. I mean, we watch it, but she knows like the details. Like, God,
she should.
Yeah,
it'd be like that.
So y'all know who it is. Y'all know who we are.
J.K. Rowling does not care about black people.
That is true. That is very true.
She does not.
There you go.
Like I was gonna say something, but then I was gonna be a little bit much. So, but yeah,
gotta go.
They do. They gotta get the fuck up out of here. I was gonna say something even more reckless that would have getting us. I really hate turfs, y'all.
I know. I think I know what you're gonna say. Don't say,
yeah. I was gonna get real violent. But in any case, shout outs to everybody who watched us tonight. Shout outs to everybody tuning in and whatnot. We still got some dope things coming for y'all this week, so be on the lookout. We will let y'all know as they happen. But in any case, I'm Quamon Star G, the Sword of Gryffindor's Gigolo. Avia, she has been
Rowena Ravenclaw's diadem.
Facts. The odd Nibitin one has been.
I'm out of here.
And Aaron has been.
Slim Swerve, Slither in the first. You know what's up.
Facts on top of facts on top of facts. And I'm so glad that I took a chance on that PB between topics, or else your boy would have been dying. But in any case, we've been MulDiversity. This has been a chill episode. We hate J.K. Rowling, and we need her gone so we can go back to fully loving Harry Potter. And yeah, that time turner is still bullshit. They should have been used it for the rest of the series. And in any case, we are MulDiversity. Everybody say peace, y'all.
Peace.
I got that black magic. Got that black magic. Hey, got that black magic. I got that black magic. Nigga, I was born with a wand in my hand. Boy, you alive for a one night stand. You killed Dumbledore and you didn't mean it, but you did it anyway. Now you gonna feel it. Cause I got that black magic. Got that black magic. Hey, got that black magic. I got that black magic. Nigga, I was born with a wand in my hand. Boy, you alive for a one night stand. You killed Dumbledore and you didn't mean it, but you did it anyway. Now you gonna feel it. And I'm the best of magic, and I'm friends with Hagrid. I don't care for fame, and now I have to grab it. And you think you're savage, but I know better. Got allowed to Hogwarts with a talking letter. He said shit about my dad, and then I had to get him. Try to steal the snitch, but you know I won't let him, cause I'm faster than him.